Welcome to Lifestyles of the Not Jet Set, the travel and tourism show that has all of the meaning of long-distance travel, but in fact sometimes can be just on foot in a low-carbon way, quite close to our own homes and our own place of work. Today it's a pleasure to be here with Khan Shahrani, the Muslim chaplain at Tufts University, where I'm also a professor, who's also a scholar of the history of the Indian Ocean region and the history of mysticism. And Khan, I'm so glad you could join us today.
Thank you so much, Bart. We're happy to be here.
In one sense, today's episode is so local that you almost couldn't call it travel at all. We took a morning walk in springtime across Boston, starting from our very own office building on the Boston campus of Tufts University. Local walking makes sense for a travel and tourism show with a distinctively low-carbon ethic, which you can learn more about by liking this video and subscribing to this channel, which will let you stay informed about exciting upcoming climate-friendly adventure travels this summer, including a collaboration with the international climate action group Stay Grounded in Europe. In another sense, in our conversation, Khan and I traveled magically across great distances of time and space. One theme for us was the connection between local Boston landmarks of religious architecture and more distant famous churches and mosques. We passed Trinity Church, the masterpiece of architect Henry Hobson Richardson, who interpreted medieval Romanesque styles in a distinctively American way, which reminded Khan of how medieval mosques also adapted common elements to local settings all the way from Cordoba, Spain in the Western Mediterranean to China in the East.
And it reminds me actually of mosques I've seen, classical kind of medieval mosques in China, which are kind of built in a pagoda style in that kind of sense, in that kind of architectural context of China. And so you can see how mosques change, but also cathedrals change depending on where they are as well. Even though sometimes we kind of think about, well, Gothic cathedral is the only way that a cathedral could maybe look, right? It's like these traditions have to be enclosed where they are.
Similarly, as we rested by the Mother Church of Christian Science, a very American religious tradition founded by New Englander Mary Baker Eddy, Khan noticed the connection to the Renaissance masterpiece of Florence, Italy.
Il Duomo. That's what it's called, the dome, right?
Yeah.
In Italian. And so it is interesting, again, that Mediterranean kind of borrowing and repurposing of architectural styles.
As we continued our walk from Boston's Back Bay neighborhood into Roxbury, we spoke at length about the value of seeking new experiences, both travel experiences and religious experiences. But then on reflection, we started to question the endless search for novelty.
And so there's always this push and pull between, well, I feel at home, right? Versus I need to get out of my house and do something new.
Right.
Like that's the push and pull.
Absolutely. No, we don't want to overstate the importance of change. Sometimes having the same ritual, I think within a lot of religious traditions, repeating a ritual, you've just come through Ramadan and Eid.
Yeah.
We've just had Holy Week and the Monday, Thursday, and the Good Friday, and the Easter, and each of these things have a language that you repeat year after year.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, this goes back to our conversation about like interfaith kind of work, and there's something really grounding in having a tradition.
Yeah.
Regardless of what that tradition is. And then there's a lot of value to actually understanding your own tradition better when you encounter other people's traditions.
Yeah.
Right? And so both of those things actually work hand in hand.
Yeah.
How do we learn about other places in a way that is meaningful,
Right.
allows us to have those kinds of ideas, without also, denigrating and destroying the natural environment
Absolutely.
with our actions? So that's
Right.
the other side of things, right? How do you do both of these things?
Right. Sometimes when they hear about this project that led to this video series, people ask, oh, but if I didn't ever fly,
then I wouldn't learn about other places. But in fact, not ever flying for many people in kind of educated circles in the United States isn't quite the boundary that we're at. It has
Right.
to do with traveling a little slower, taking more time to appreciate the places that chance or
Right.
your own personal history takes you to visit.
Mysticism as a practice is really interesting because it's a lot of it is contemplation,
Yeah.
right? The question again, this is like what does theology do for you? It's what does mysticism do for you? What is the point? And for the mystics, their point is to get closer to God. They want to be able to kind of have a more kind of visceral
We can go.
down through here.
I bet we can go through there and then left. Yeah.
They want to have a more kind of visceral kind of experience
Yeah.
of the divine. And what they're really kind of saying is that we kind of create all kinds of categories in the world, and we assume that they're just true with a capital T. And actually, a lot of work that humans have to do is undo some of those misrepresentations and misunderstandings
Right.
of what the real world is. I said this example to a student recently. I said there's a difference between going for a walk and listening to something,
Right.
and there's a difference versus a walk where you are not listening to something versus a walk where you have your earbuds in but they're off,
Right.
versus you're going for a walk and you don't have earbuds at all and you're just kind of open to the ambient noise of a place. Those are three very, very different kinds of walks,
Right.
and you have a very different kind of experience, and it does something different to you.
Or even a walk and a conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, religious spaces do this very thoughtfully. Like the fact that churches and mosques exist, and they're built a certain kind of way, and they're organized, they orient you to a certain kind of experience.
So as we're standing here at this mosque at the Islamic Society of Boston Cultural Center, what things, this is a new building. It was built in 2009.
Yeah.
This is not a medieval building. And yet, doesn't it connect to some of the places and times that we've been talking about? What do you notice as you think about some of those connections?
Kind of the minaret and the dome that are very common in mosques across the world. But here, what's really obviously striking is the brick.
Right.
And the brick is very much local New England flavor.
And for you and I, who are both New Englanders, but also have a sense of connection to these other times and other places, that makes us a little bit of local pride, doesn't it?
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think this mosque is an example of, a tradition that is very American as well, that is grounded in a Bostonian tradition of architecture that is figuring out what does it mean to be Muslim in the United States today.
Right. Well, Khan, thank you for joining us for this walk and for this conversation today. It means a lot to me.
Thanks so much, Mark, for inviting me.
Yeah.